Hey everybody, it's Brandy from Marijuana. Okay, so I know how I told you guys before in like my other videos that my kids, my my youngest Trevor, the one that uh whatever. So he said the other day, he's like, "Mom, I'll let you interview me and we could talk about stuff." So I was like, "All right." So he comes up and he's like, "On board." I was like, "All right." I was like, "Well, do you want me to interview you?" And he was like, "No." He's like, he was like, "I'll just give you some ideas." And I was like, "Okay." What do you do when your kid comes to you and tells you about his dreams, right? Now, mind you, this is my 8-year-old, and he has come to me before and said about, how wasn't his mom, blah, blah, blah. And that was like 2 years ago. Right then and there, I knew that he was like how I was. I was like, fuck. So, anyway, my other kids are sensitive, and I told you one can read auras, one has premonitions, the other one talks to dead people clairaudiently, like hears, but and it's also like I don't know, whatever. He's clairvoyant too. Well, they're all like that, but some of them are open about it, and the other ones they're freaked out. So anyway, Trevor said to me today, he's like, tell me all this stuff, and I told him some stuff that I saw whatever out of the corner of my eye the other day. He's like, well, that's the same boy that I saw. And I was like, what? And I said, Trevor, I'm going to tell you right now that I love you very much and I believe you, but I have to ask you, are you just making stuff up or. But he came to me like and started, and I knew something was up. You know what I mean? Because the way it was leading. And I know him. Plus, I am psychic. Plus, I read their thoughts. You'll have to ask Xavier. Just read his mind yesterday. I was like, huh? And he was like, I didn't say anything. It was like, did you just blah, blah, blah? And he was like, yeah. So anyway, I knew. I knew Trevor wanted to tell me something. So he was telling me about his dream. And he was like, Mom, I want to keep this between me and you. Because I thought he wanted me to interview him about it. And he was like, no. So I was like, okay, I have my camera off. And I did. I'm not going to record it, especially, he's a kid. So I start talking to him. And he's like, this is personal between me and you. And I'm like, oh my God. I'm like freaking out though a little bit. My kid's coming to tell me some crazy shit, but he trusts me and he's open, so I'm cool. He can tell me anything. So anyway, he goes, so remember I've been telling you, like this person, I've been seeing shadows, Mom. He's like, I've been seeing the sparkling lights. He's like, but I've been seeing shadows. And he was like, I'm like, where? He's like, well, I'll see him like there. And he was like, there's this person that sits like near the door on a bench. He's like, when I wake up in the morning, it's not there. I'm like, oh. I'm like, okay. And I'm like, well, like, how old do you think he is? He's like, probably like my age. And he was like, and he was crying that um he can't find his mom and he misses his mom. He's like, it's not every night. It's just sometimes. He's like, and sometimes he'll just like sit there. And he's like, and that's it. And I'm like, well, what does he look like? And he's like, well, he's all black. He's like, but he has arms and he doesn't make me feel bad. He was like, but um uh he just like he'll just sit there. And I'm like, oh. And he's like, so you don't see any shadows? And I'm like, well, yeah. I was like, sometimes I do see shadows. I was like, but I don't ever like, he's not ever talking to me. I was like, but the other day I was walking up the steps, I'm telling him this, like, he's a grown up. I was like, the other day I walked up the steps and I was like, and I saw for like a split fucking second, a teenage boy, 15, 16 years old, wearing white, like, basketball shorts and like white sneakers. I was like, but he's sitting like this in Xavier's gaming chair. And I was like, but it's really fast. I said, but I don't see his face. And I said, everybody the other day was outside. And I was like, I thought it was Garrett, Xavier's friend. He was like, oh, he's like, Mom, I see that same person. He was like, and he wears those clothes. I'm like, get the fuck out of here. I'm like, okay. And I was like, well, do you ever feel like, I was like, well, okay, wait. I was like, so you see two? And he's like, yeah. He was like, but they don't, the little kid's looking for his mom. He's like, and sometimes he thinks it's you. So he goes upstairs. He's like, because they'll be like, follow me. And they walk up just to, I guess, like to reassure him that, that it's not me or whatever. So they go up and he's like, and they're like, okay, it's not your mom or whatever. So, and I'm like, what the fuck? And he was like, yeah, sometimes the kid would be like, Mom, Mom. I'm like, get the fuck out of here. So back before Christmas, I think, we were going over to see Ray's parents in Virginia. So I had my alarm set for like, I don't know, 5 o'clock or 4:30, whatever. But at like 3:45, I swear to God, I heard someone yell, Mom! And I'm like, what? And they said, Mom! And I'm like, what? And I thought it was Trevor, and I had to get up, and it's like, what the fuck? My alarm didn't even go off, and I'm freaked out because I'm like, oh God, Trevor, someone's sick. I go downstairs, and no, okay, it's not Trevor. Everybody's still asleep. So I start getting everything ready. I write it down, I journal it, okay? So now, back to Trevor. And it's like, I said, Trevor. I was like, that's probably him. He's like, yeah, I told you. And I'm like, okay. So now we know that. So I'm like, well, he was like, he's like lost. He can't find his mom. He was like, like his mom died. He's like, maybe not in this house. He was like, but he's around, she's around here or something. I'm like, what? And I'm like, well, what do you think he wants from me? He's like, well, that boy comes, and he's like, I don't know how that boy is from around here. He's like, but this bigger boy, the one that you're talking about, goes and like says, what's wrong? He'll be like, I can't find my mom. So the boy goes with him. He was, and Xavier's, and Trevor said to me, Mom, sometimes they try to, like, he's like, they come to your room. He's like, but sometimes I see them and they try to walk out the door and they can't go past the porch. He was like, I think they're like stuck here. And I'm like, what the fuck? Now, some people might say that this is a dream or whatever. No, my son, yeah, sure, at night, whatever, my son does talk to spirit. He always has, and I don't care what anybody tells me. I know for a fucking fact because I do it too. So, you know, but anyway, he said that they don't try to hurt him, but they talk to him because I guess because they feel comfortable with him, and they won't come to me. They're afraid of me because I might, like, I scare them. He was like, maybe like, I'm trying to send them away. And I was like, okay, so are you thinking they're like negative? Because he knows about this. He surrounds himself with white light. He's, we sage. He's very aware of this, whatever. And he was like, no, I think that it's like they're like stuck. And I said, so you think they come to you? He was like, yeah, I think that I'm supposed to help them. So, I don't know, but I'm going to talk to him a little bit more. But yeah, so that's just crazy. It's not crazy. I'm just like amazed. Um, it's not like a bad energy type thing. Um, it's, I don't know. It's just, so I'm glad that my son feels open enough to discuss these things with me. It's amazing. This is probably one of the reasons why we chose to, I guess, like to be together or whatever. Um, um, I just like not at a loss for words, but I definitely do have goosebumps and whatnot. So I just wanted to give you all that. So, all right. That's all I got for now. Deuces.